Monday Scrum.
Hello and welcome to the Monday Scrum, joined as always by two absolute legends, Brent Read and Benji Marshall.
Yeah, g'day.
Excited because it's Origin Week once again. Did you enjoy the weekend of footy before we head into rep round?
Yeah, I went to a couple of cracking games. I was at Brookie
how good was that
Four Pines
game?
Park on Friday night. That was unbelievable.
Are you a Manly fan? No, you're a Broncos fan.
I grew up a Manly fan because Brisbane weren't in the competition when because I'm that old.
Wow.
Johnny Gibbs was my favourite player. I love Johnny Gibbs. And then in '88 when Brisbane came in, I went to the first game because I love the King, you know. I was a Valleys fan in Brisbane. Loved Wally Lewis. So I switched camps to Brisbane. I had a soft spot for
Mate,
Manly.
I couldn't believe that game.
It was amazing, wasn't it?
Crazy. Well, it was like 26-12 at one stage, and the Cowboys in 7
With
minutes.
7 minutes to go.
Benji,
my
you
God.
would have been in teams that never, you know, in your life you're in sporting teams and they never think they're beaten. That's what the Cowboys look like to me at the moment. They're just never beaten. You know,
It's crazy. The turnaround. Thanks for stealing what I was going to talk about later. But the turnaround in the way they play, like especially defensively, and then this week it was their attack. Like honestly, some of the things they came up with late in the game, and watching the emotions of that side, like they look like a confident team at the moment. That's Todd Payton, and it's crazy because all the good coaches at the moment come from the school of Tim Sheens. Crazy.
There we go. Genius.
Timmy's back.
Isn't he?
He's back too.
He's taking
back,
over. He's taking
baby.
over at Tigers, I heard.
I spent a lot
Ooh.
of time with Timmy on Sunday. Actually bumped into him at the game. Was talking to him for about a half hour.
Can't believe he's still got ears.
You can't get away from
He
him.
loves a chat, doesn't he?
Oh, he loves talking footy.
At Benji's
Oh
testimonial
my God.
a week and a half ago, there's Benji, Wayne, and Tim Sheens on stage. And dead set, every answer from Tim Sheens went for about 3 or 4 minutes.
8 minutes. 8 minutes.
And he didn't even answer
He
the
didn't
question.
answer
He
the
just went
question.
off on a tangent,
He's so
whatever
good.
he wanted to talk about.
That's
But
it.
he was still entertained.
He just loves the game, doesn't he?
Oh, he loves it,
talking
mate.
footy.
He loves it. That footy's his life. He'll never get away from it.
Yeah, it's good.
Actually, Wayne still got it. We didn't have a show last week, so we haven't spoken since your testimonial. But Wayne is
Oh, he's all
he
over
knows
it,
how to hold a room, doesn't
doesn't he? I think Sheensy did him a favour because he was talking for ages and Wayne would just come in with like a one-liner and the whole crowd would go off. He's still got it, Wayne. Jeez.
Did you enjoy the night, Benji?
Yeah, I did. It was great. I hate things being about me, but it was actually mad that all my family and I guess the biggest thing was all the people who were there at the start of my career were at that night at the end of my career, you know. So it was a special night. MC did a great job. Have you heard of Emma Lawrence?
thanks.
I'm trying
Fantastic.
to take. I'm
Thanks,
trying
Reedy.
to
Give me
take
a rap.
I'm
Give me a
trying
rap
to
in
take
your
over
paper.
management.
Oh, yeah.
Get her some gigs.
Well,
Mate,
7%
she's
of
got a
what
big
she's
future,
making is
that
big
girl.
money.
Big, no, 20% for that sort of stuff,
Oh,
isn't it?
sorry, okay.
Management fees, 20%.
You're getting ripped.
I'll do a
wish.
15 bench.
I do
I mean,
everything
Emma.
for the love of it. If we
Yeah,
can
she
give us some of your big salary, Reedy.
Oh, please.
Well, Reedy's mail is the most clicked on thing in Triple M history.
Yeah, apparently.
It
allegedly.
actually is.
It is.
Not really.
You got the good mail, that's why.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we'll get to your mail shortly, but I think we've got to start with the Origin teams. We'll take a deep dive into the Blues to begin with. Some changes for them. Obviously, Jack Whiten has COVID, so Matt Burton comes into the centres. No Katoni Staggs. Stephen Crichton will be there. We've got Api Coruscant starting, Damien Cook on the bench, and then Jake Trbojevic, Angus Crichton and Sifa Talakai come into the side. Reedy, what do you make of these changes?
Well, I said it on the Sunday Footy show yesterday. I think it's an acknowledgement they got it wrong in game one. I think that's pretty clear. You don't make that many changes if you didn't think you got it wrong in game one. So it's an acknowledgement they got the team for game one wrong. And I think most people think this is a better team. I'm surprised by, well, I'm not surprised because the whispers was doing the rounds about Uppy starting the game and Cookie going back to the bench. I'm a little bit disappointed for Cookie. I think he's been a really good servant for Freddie and the Blues, and I think he probably deserves another chance in the starting side. But, you know, I think it's a better team.
Is that more so to get that Penrith combination, or is it a reflection more so of Cookie and where he's at?
I think it's a bit of both. I don't think Cookie's been at his best this year, but obviously Freddie's likes the Penrith connection. What have they got in there? 8? Is it 8 now? 7 or 8 now?
7.
7. And they are the form team in the comp and have been for 2 years. I mean, I can understand why Freddie would lean a lot on those players.
I actually don't mind what he's done. I think people are probably thinking there's a bit of panic in New South Wales camp, but I like some of the changes. I do think that Josh Adokar maybe should have got an opportunity. It's a hard one because he's been good for the last 4 seasons or however long he was in the side, but his energy away from the footy, I think, helped relax the side. We talked about it before.
Don't you think it was hard, though, Benji, once he went with Tupou, and Tupou played well? I thought Tupou played well in game one. It was impossible to drop him.
Yeah, it's much of a muchness, to be honest.
But you don't have to necessarily play bad to be dropped.
Well,
Right?
It helps, makes it easier if you play bad.
No, but even if you have a good game, if Freddie thought that Josh would bring more in terms of energy and
Yeah, I thought he might have stuck with the same team, though, like the exact same team, just for the redemption factor. All the guys who played hurting a little bit come back and want a bit of redemption from the last game. And you can't underestimate how much players want to play better if they lose the first time. They only lost by 6 points, by the way. People carrying on like they lost by 20. You know,
Well,
there was a moment there where they could have possibly won that game at the back end of the game. I've never seen an Origin, or in any game, I've never seen Nathan under as much pressure. Every time he kicked the ball, they were in his face. You know, some of the kicks where he would usually put down in the corner came up a lot shorter. That's off the back of the pressure Queensland put on him. Now this time, I think he'll be prepared for that, and they'll have options around other kickers and setting up 2-pass kicks and things like that. But I don't think we'll see that again. You know, so if they did keep the same makeup, I think they would have still been all right.
You know Damien Cook quite well.
Yeah.
Benji, obviously. What do you think of that decision to drop him back to the bench?
Well, it doesn't matter. You know, all that matters is what's going to be best for the team. And if that's what's best for the team, like I'd probably say they took a leaf out of what Queensland are doing with Ben Hunt and Harry Grant. Yeah, and Damien is quick around the ruck and brings on a lot of energy. So if he comes on at 14 and the sting's taken out of the game, that just highlights all the things he's good at. You know, if you go into it as Cookie, looking at it as a demotion, you're already beaten. But if you go into it looking at it as like, okay, this is my chance to come on when they're tired and add a bit of spark to the side, or, you know, a bit of oomph to them in attack, because when people are tired, that's when Damien's at his best. So he's coming on fresh and not making 50 tackles a game. I think it suits him.
what about Matt Burton? There was a really nice moment, actually. Reedy, I saw you yesterday at the game.
I snuck in there and followed you into the sheds.
You did, when the moment that Brad Fittler broke the news to Matt Burton that he was going to be in the side was really special moment. The Bulldogs filmed it and put it up, and the moment too that the team found out. But what do you make of that selection? Obviously, he played with the Penrith boys, won a premiership with them last year. So
I feel a bit for Tony Staggs.
Okay.
I feel a little bit for him. I had a sneaking suspicion he'd get dropped. I thought he would. I thought Crichton would obviously come in before, and then it would have been Crichton and Whiten. But obviously when Whiten was out and they made the decision to drop Tony, they needed 2 centres. I mean, I like Burton's obviously a good player. Was he Dalian Centre of the Year last year, I think?
Yep.
So, I mean, he can handle it. And as Benji said, he'll take some heat off Nathan with his kicking game. You know, I'm intrigued to see how he goes.
I think he'll be fine. You know, his greatest strength is his running game. And in Origin, he won't have to think about organising. He can just focus on the things he did at Penrith. And that left side attack, he's played with Jerome before. You know, he's been on the end of what that looks like for him. And I thought that year he had at Penrith as centre of the year was phenomenal. So he'll do a good job. And it helps that he's got confidence off the last 2 performances and the Bulldogs winning. You know, he'll be good.
Well, Billy Slater, the Maroons coach, spoke to the media this morning, and he was asked about those changes for New South Wales.
Yeah, I haven't looked deeply into their team just yet. Yeah, I think both sides will be prioritising their preparation around themselves, and that's what we need to do. We need to have a look at, you know, what we did well in Game 1 and how we can get better, because, you know, Origin shows that, you know, Game 2 is a much more complete performance than Game 1, and both sides will improve. So we need to really prioritise that we're going to improve and how we do that.
And the Maroons themselves have made, well, they've been forced changes, really. Xavier Coates injured, so Murray Tuolangi comes onto the wing, and Reuben Cotter did his hammy, so Jai Arrow comes back into the side, which probably isn't really much of a surprise, Reedy.
Triple M zone, Jai Arrow. It's good to see him back in the team. Yeah, I mean, I think they'll really miss Reuben Cotter. I thought he was amazing in Origin 1. He was one of those traditional Queensland forwards that we dig up, you know, work all day and
I don't know.
Undersized. And I think we love those guys.
I think Jai thrives in that arena.
Yeah,
like he's been unbelievable in Origin for the last 3 or 4 times, you know. So I think they don't miss much. I think, if anything, they probably gain experience in that area. And Jai can play big minutes if he needs to. I just thought the back end of the first game, especially the last 20, New South Wales were coming to get him. And I thought they looked a little bit tired. Queensland off the back of a lot of big efforts. It was a quick game. So I reckon Billy will be looking at their last 20, figuring out how they can keep it where they're in control. Not New
Tuilagi
South Wales.
deserves a chance, though. Benji's big body, big physical guy.
I like Muzza. He's a great player. One of the best finishers, but he runs hard. A lot of skill. Really good footy brain. And you don't say that often about wingers.
No.
But he understands the
Do
game.
you know him, Benj? Well,
Not really.
Not really,
But I've
okay.
seen a lot of him, how he's played. And I like what I've seen. I think he'll go good there, yeah.
we're looking good.
All right. Well, it's 6 sleeps away now. Can I get a tip from you this far out?
Need you ask him. Queensland?
Do you really believe that?
Yes.
Why?
We were outstanding in game one. I reckon the scoreline flattered New South Wales in game one. I think Queensland were a much better team.
I think in game one, if Val kicks that goal and they go up by 14, they maybe run away with it. The part where he missed it and they're only up by 12 gave New South Wales a bit of hope still. And they scored next, and then that lifted them even more. If that's 14, it probably falls away. The challenge for me, I reckon, is going to be how much they handle the pressure of the first 20 on Nathan's kicking game. And if they can get through that and have other options and win the field position, New South Wales win the game.
What does that come down to, Benj? I mean, in terms of protecting Nathan more, whose responsibility is that?
It starts at the ruck. If the play the ball's not quick enough and he's kicking off a slow play the ball, he's already getting pressured. And I think at Penrith, it's always on the front foot. He's used to playing or kicking on the front foot. But as soon as you get a bit of pressure, you either got to have a 2-pass option or a left-footed option, which he's got Jerome, or the 9 can kick. So it's Queensland just knew Nathan's doing 85% of the kicking, so he just go to him, put pressure on him.
Do you think Burton will do much kicking for him? No.
None at all.
Really?
No, I don't reckon. Not at centre. You just get on the chase and get down there. Yeah.
Well, let's hope for the sake of the game and the ratings, of course, that it's a decider. I like the Blues changes.
Okay.
You know what? I was a little bit worried after game one, but I'm confident that we can get it done.
Okay.
I think
I think they'll win by 20.
Ooh, New South Wales. And you're a Queensland fan.
Doesn't matter.
Benj. 20. Why do you think 20?
The redemption factor, first of all, and I don't think they'll be under as much pressure. I think Nathan will find a way to get that pressure away from him. I don't think we'll ever see that performance from him again. That was probably the worst performance he's probably had in that arena off the back of the pressure, and I think they'll find a way to combat that.
Can I just say, too, speaking to, players after the game, no one ever likes losing, but I've never, ever interviewed someone where I honestly have thought they are blaming themselves more than Nathan. It's like the weight of the world is on his shoulders if he ever has a bad performance. Even in that the one game they lost this season to Parramatta, and he missed a couple of kicks, which usually he wouldn't.
Yeah. But he understands the game and how it works though too, and I think he would agree that a lot of his kicks at the start of the game were not where he usually puts it, and that's the pressure gauge of Origin. If you control field position, Queensland were getting out of their half too easy off the back of those kicks, so I think they'll sort that out.
All right. Well, we've got a round of rep footy, but we wrapped up round 15 on the weekend, and it was a battle of the two of the sides at the bottom, the West Tigers and the Doggies, and it was a convincing one for the Bulldogs, 2 in a row. It was very, very good to watch.
I didn't think we were going to say that ever.
I know, who would have thought? Jake Averillo at fullback seems to have worked very well. I mean, he started in the halves, went to centre, but he looks like a one, don't you think, Benji?
Well, to be fair, watching the Bulldogs play, they just look like a team that doesn't have the weight of do this play for that play for that play. It's not set up around make sure that you're doing this structure. It looks like they're just playing footy, what they see. And to me, Averillo's always been, his greatest strength's always been a running game. So at fullback, you don't have to think about organising the team, kicking for field position, calling plays. All you have to think about is when you get it, you just run. And that's all he's had to do.
Your brother was good too yesterday.
Yeah. You said that at the start of the year, actually. You said you think they should have Kyle there and move Averillo to fullback. Oh, genius.
From the first day I watched him play, I thought he was a fullback. Just the way he runs. You can figure out the other parts of fullback, like the defensive parts along the way, but his strengths all point towards being a good fullback. So I think it was a great play. But you just watch even Burden, Josh Adokar. Josh Adokar had 4 tries after 10 rounds. Now he's got
they look
12.
Free again, don't they?
They do.
They look happy again.
They look confident.
Yeah.
Mick Potter's done a pretty good job in terms of that.
Yeah.
Well, is he any chance of getting that job long term? Obviously, the Tigers and the Dogs are chasing Ciraldo, but even if, just say Ciraldo whether or not he goes to Tigers, but if Ciraldo doesn't end up at the Bulldogs, is Mick Potter any chance? Like, is he even in the top 3
I don't think so.
considerations?
I don't think so, Em. I think it's a nice fairy tale if Mick was to get the job, but I think he's there purely as an interim coach. That's the assignment he took. I don't think there was any realistic chance that he would become the head coach down the track. Now, he's obviously won a couple of games, but he'd need to win a bucket load more and have Cameron Ciraldo and a couple of others probably knock the job back before I reckon he'd be a serious consideration for it.
I reckon it'd depend on the feedback they got from if they missed out on Ciraldo, the feedback they got from the players on, what effect he had on them, because they haven't scored this many. They scored average of 10 points a game up until 4 weeks ago. Now they're scoring 24 plus a game.
It was a very ordinary Tigers team though yesterday, to be fair.
Well,
they didn't beat much yesterday.
No.
Well, when Potter that first week he got handed the interim job, I was at that press conference where we were hammering him, saying, surely you want the job long term. And he just, I'm not buying into that, not buying into that. But obviously after a couple of wins, naturally it's the topic of conversation once again. And was it you, Reedy, who asked him the question yesterday?
Yeah, I asked him yesterday, yeah.
Let's take a listen.
I'm just comfortable right at the moment doing what I'm doing, and I'll probably assess in a few weeks and just see. But I'm comfortable trying to help out this group right at the moment, and I just don't want to be distracted to make a call on that right now. And a couple of weeks, and I reckon I'll either go yes or no.
Do you have that option? Is that option?
Oh, well, it's an option to apply. Yeah. So they might already have a coach. I don't know. I haven't had any discussions about it, and that's why I'm just staying right out of it right at the moment, because I just want the players to focus on playing well and doing their best.
Now, he has to say that, but do you think he wants it?
Well, it's significant he said I'll make a decision in a couple of weeks, because I think the Tigers and Canterbury expect to know within the next week or so whether Cameron Ciraldo will take that job. So he's obviously going to wait to see what happens with Ciraldo, and if Ciraldo goes to the Tigers or decides to stay at Penrith, I reckon Mick will throw his hat in the ring.
Okay, well, where are the Tigers at? Because we know they had a marathon meeting supposedly with Ciraldo during the week, chasing him hard. Sheens is on the case. What are their chances of getting him?
Well, I'm not sure yesterday helped. I'm not sure. Well, it may not have played a part. I don't know what Cameron Ciraldo's thinking, but look, they're optimistic they'll get him. I mean, they've got a massive new centre of excellence that's about to open. They've got money to spend. They've got a couple of good players coming next year. They've got some good juniors coming through. I think they're hopeful that they'll convince him to come to the club, but I wouldn't say they're overly supremely confident. I think anyone can be at the moment with Cameron, because I don't think anyone knows what he's thinking.
Well, in terms of the time frame as to when they will make a decision, Tim Sheens actually joined the Sunday sin bin yesterday.
Look, I wouldn't not put a specific time, but so obviously halfway through the second round, you'd like to have someone in place to make decisions for the rest of the round before we get to the end of the season, and also November when
pre-season starts.
Well, it does for the year after, doesn't it? Yeah. So we'll have money for next year and hopefully money for the year after. So whoever comes in gets a chance to mould it a bit, or and not argue that it wasn't his group. You know?
That's the big thing.
It wasn't my group halfway through the year.
Tim, I know we've been having a laugh calling this game the Cameron Ciraldo Cup. He obviously met Cameron Ciraldo last Monday. He toured the Tigers' new centre of excellence. Yeah. He's the top priority for the club, isn't he?
Well, he's identified as number one that we're looking at, yeah. So we'll see where it goes from there. I think he's the sort of personality and ability that will suit a development club.
Benji, you know Sheensy better than most. Will Ciraldo work well with Tim Sheens?
Well, I think the positive for Ciraldo is if he goes to the Tigers, he's going to have everything his way.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're prepared to offer him 5 years, in my opinion, shows the fact that they're invested in him long term to be able to do that. I don't think there needs to be a timeline on when he'll have success or not, because success already is just lifting the club out of the place that they're in at the moment, which is not a good place. The fans are not enjoying the way the team's playing, and to be honest, it's a bit of a mess. And I think for the club, if they can get Cameron Ciraldo, all the things that he's good at, and I've spoken to a lot of players about the way he coaches, and he's sort of like a father figure and a guy who cares about his players first and invests in what they are like off the field, and then that translates to how much they want to play for him on the field. And I like the fact that he's going to have it his way to invest whatever money he wants in the players he wants to try and get. But also the juniors that are coming through, like the Harold Matts, the West team, went undefeated and won last season. And I coached, I reckon, Balmain and West, probably 5 or 6 kids that I reckon had first-grade potential already coming through. So I reckon they're almost at the point of maybe throwing some of those kids in the deep end or investing in them for at least the next year or so. And then Cameron, if he gets the job, try and attract players after that. The generation of players at the moment, I think, suit the way Cameron coaches. A lot of those guys need a bit of a cuddle, and I think he's really good at that. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does take the job at Tigers, because I think it's a good opportunity for him.
I mean, it's interesting. Tim talked about a timeline on it because they've got some huge names who are off contract in a year's time. So then, they're the November 1 guys, right? November 1, they can sign with other clubs. So they need to know. I would imagine they want to know who the coach is.
Yeah.
Brooks, Dewey, Hastings, Laurie. I mean, it's basically your spine. So the new coach is going to have some big decisions to make.
Yeah.
Huge decisions.
I wouldn't be surprised if whoever comes in tries to clear everyone out and change and do what he wants with the roster.
Really?
I think they might. Well, from my understanding of what they showed Ciraldo, it was the books for what it looks like for the next 4 years. And there's a lot of salary cap wiggle space for him to do what he likes, and a lot of players coming off contract, which makes that easier.
Well, you look at those 4 guys alone, Benji.
It's a bunch
if they
of
come
money.
off in 12 months, or they've got 1 more year left in their deals. After that, you're talking over $2 million straight up.
Yeah.
So there's money to spend, 2.5 probably.
Yeah.
Closer to 3 actually when I look at it. So it's a lot of money.
An accountant.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Emma's a commerce student.
Oh,
no?
that's right.
Well, you have
What about
3
that bit of
degrees.
trivia, Em? You've
Yeah,
got a
went
commerce
back
degree,
and
eh?
did finance.
If you think about
You should manage yourself.
why would he say no, Reedy, do you reckon?
Oh, I would
The
imagine he would
results?
only say no because he'd be concerned about
The roster?
No, I don't think so. Because as you said, there's flexibility in that roster in 12 months' time. Just the suggestion that maybe off the field the club's a bit, well, a basket case is a bit unfair, right? But it's because it's not an unstable club. Like Canterbury's more unstable in the boardroom than what the West Tigers are. They're a very stable club in the boardroom. But just the fact that there seems to be this culture of almost mediocrity there, I would have thought that would be his only concern. But he can change that.
Yeah, and I think that the way he coaches is real team first, and I think that's what a lot of the players need at the moment. It looks, watching them on the weekend, it looks like a lot of them were playing individually, and probably thinking about their futures, So I think maybe he'll bring that, and defensively, like that's his strength, and that's what the Tigers desperately need. Is a defensive system that's going to hold up under pressure.
People keep talking about him staying at Penrith because Penrith's in this golden run and stay there and keep succeeding. But I say to that, you don't become an assistant coach to just sit there and cruise behind an Ivan Cleary. You become an assistant coach because you want to be a head coach and you want to test yourself and you want to challenge yourself.
Well, he's
why sit there?
He's
Why
no
sit there for
no
another-
chance of coaching Penrith
No.
in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
No. So why would you just sit there?
I think it'd be the ultimate coup as a coach for you to come out and get a club that's in the bottom half of the ladder and take them to the top 8 and show how much you can coach. I reckon that's him.
Yeah.
Well,
I like it. Good
watch
sale.
this
Good
space.
sale by Benj,
Cameron
wasn't it?
Ciraldo may take the Tigers to their first finals appearance in a decade.
You're declaring it, eh? Or?
I'm declaring it's going to happen. I'm hoping anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's time for the segment that all the fans have been waiting for.
Reedy's Mail.
I thought you were talking about Marshall's Law.
Oh, I got told to say that. I thought
okay.
you were a bit vulnerable and needy today, so we'd just pump up your tyres a bit.
Got a bit of breaking news on the Tigers, actually.
Ooh.
One of their big off-season recruits, Tyrone Peachy, has been given permission to go to market. So to go and explore his options on the open market and see what he can find else out there. They signed him a 2-year deal. He's in the first year of that 2-year deal. But his management's asked for permission to go and explore what's out in the marketplace for him. So it's been a bit of it hasn't really panned
Is
out.
that a
has it?
surprise? Really?
Well, it's it's not a surprise that they would give him permission. He's only played 8 games, I think. He's spent a month or so in reserve grade. But he's on a pretty good contract there. And he was a bit of a coup when they signed him, but looks like it won't be for much longer.
Ooh. Where could he end up?
Well, It's a good question, Em. I don't.
Oh, so
I
you've
don't-
only done
I've
half
only
the
done
amount of
half.
research. But that's fine. That's still good
I
mail.
literally found out 5 minutes ago.
No, it's still good mail.
Anyway, so
Yeah,
I
what-
mean, a club will look at him, but I don't know. He'll get a chance somewhere, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Benj, Tyrone Peachy.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't even listening.
Fair enough.
What's next?
Let's go to Origin
Yes.
and Jordan McLean. It was a bit of a surprise selection, Jordan McLean, the extended squad. Now, if you look at these two teams, he's one of the few players. He may be the only player in either team that's actually off contract at the end of the year, Jordan McLean. He has not got a deal for next season, Jordan McLean. Now, the Cowboys are talking to him. The expectation is they'll get a deal done with him at some point in coming weeks. He doesn't want to leave up there. He's settled up there. But I'm not sure whether this gives him a bit more bargaining power. But, yeah, it's quite interesting. He's off contract and he's in the Origin camp. So
Everyone was making, a lot of fans, and you see stuff online about the players in the extended squad. Why do you think Freddie, probably small chance that he'd be coming in if anything happened.
Well, he's been playing good footy, Jordan McLean, to be fair.
Yeah.
And Suwali's obviously been there and thereabouts. There was a whisper going around yesterday Suwali would be the 18th man, and that didn't happen in the end. It's Nico Hines. The surprising one for me is Victor Radley, because Victor hasn't played for how long? 10 weeks or something? He's probably not back for another.
Yeah, but they
4
know
or
he's not
5.
going to play, though. They know he's not going to
Yeah.
play. It's more about experience for the future.
Mm.
And Victor has, for the last, I reckon...
Joking.
Joking.
Are you alive? For the last 2 or 3 years, he's been there and abouts. And I think for 2 of those years, he got suspended right before Origin when Freddie said he was going to be in. There was another year I think he got injured. So he's been unlucky a couple of
He's
times.
been knocking on the door, hasn't he? And he's a good bloke to have around the team, apparently. I don't know
Hey,
him
for
that well.
team, for morale and energy,
Yeah,
you'd want him there
You'd love to have him there.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
He brings the good vibes.
He seems like a good fella. He and I had a bit of a stoush one day anyway.
Oh, about what?
You have a
it's
lot of
it's a long
stoushes,
story.
though.
It's a long tale.
No.
There's another. Yeah, I'll tell you another.
Must be
time.
hard being a journo.
Sometimes.
You have a lot of stoushes.
Not a lot, Ben. Just a couple.
A lot of kiss and makeups, but
Yeah, always.
Actually, seeing Angus Crichton back in the side reminded me of the time Reedy
Well, actually, my Victor Radley fallout relates to Angus Crichton.
told Angus Crichton live on air for Triple M that he had not
It never went
been
to
selected.
air, to be fair. The interview didn't go to air.
well.
But Angus got upset with that. And then I went and did media training at the Roosters. And Angus Crichton and Victor Radley were in the media training. And Victor proceeded to ask me, what would you say about a journalist who told a footballer immediately after a game that he missed out in the Origin team? And because Angus was there
that's
with
pretty
him.
funny.
It wasn't funny, I'm telling you.
I would have found
It was
it
very
funny.
uncomfortable.
You know, that's something I would have asked.
Yeah. Anyway, it got a bit feisty. We ended up screaming at each other.
You got to
and-
take the good with the bad, mate.
Yeah, no, I didn't mind. I've got no issue with him.
Did you scream back at them?
Of course. Got to stand your ground.
Yeah, you can.
I'd
you can stare.
I'd
you can be
apologise
calm.
for it or previously. I said I'm not apologising again for it. I apologised once. That's enough. Anyway.
Did
I
you
love
know
that,
that
though.
he?
You give a lot of criticism, but you can't take it.
What?
Almost got you there.
Anyway, back to mail.
Anyway,
Speaking of, actually, another bit of mail out of the Cowboys. Luciano Leilua is up there. He's done the paperwork today. He will train with the Tigers tomorrow.
The
The Cowboys tomorrow, in Townsville. So he's back.
He's going to be good for him, I reckon.
Very good, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's going to add a lot. You know, defensively he'll buy into their system and be solid, but I think in attack it gives them another strength to their bow that they, with their back rows, I don't think they had a ball playing back row. So I think he's going to bring a lot to him.
And just a quick last one, Damien Cook. We spoke about Damien Cook earlier. So his management's meeting with South this week about a contract extension. They're meeting on later in the week. And what makes it interesting is they've got a kid named Peter Mamazoulis, Benj, in the system who's earmarked for big things. They obviously went through this with Adam Reynolds, with Lachlan Ilias, where they didn't want to block Ilias long term.
They can't make the same mistake again, can they?
So what do?
I think they got to sign him.
Cookie?
Yeah.
Long term?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's an Origin player.
Mm.
Played for Australia.
are you saying that was a mistake to let Adam Reynolds go?
Did I say that? But yeah.
Essentially, you did.
He did. I think he did.
Well, when you look at it now, yeah.
So even if blocks Mamazoulis coming through for the next 3 years.
There's time. Pete's got time. He's still developing. You know? Cookie's been there and done it. And in the big games, he stands up.
Is he that good, Mamazoulis?
Yeah, he's
Benji?
good. He's a good kid. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you got to buy your time. Like, look what Harry Grant had to do behind Cameron Smith. They're
Yeah.
still there, going great now.
Mm.
You know, we all get so obsessed with all the up and coming players who haven't done anything yet and blocking this and blocking that. But you got to bid your time and earn your time there.
Fair
Yeah.
call.
Yeah,
Fair call.
I think he deserves that right. I think he's earned it. That's
Nice.
all.
There you
There
go.
we go.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Fairly solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, always solid.
Let's see if Benji can outdo him this week.
Benji Marshall. Benji Marshall. Oh, Benji Marshall. Marshall's Law.
Yeah, look, it's not about outdoing for me, Emma. I'm not about that life. I love what Reedy does. What I do is a little bit different. But I was just having a good think about Origin time and how everyone says a lot of clubs get affected by their Origin players out, and just sometimes how nice it is to have players who play for other countries that don't play for New South Wales or Queensland. Like, you know, the guys who play for New Zealand or who play for Tonga. Like, you look at Dylan Brown, Joseph Tapine has been outstanding. Jerome Hughes for Melbourne. Fisher Harris, Brandon Smith, Jason Taumalolo, Joseph Manu. Like, sometimes the smarts of investing in rep players that don't have to be involved in Origin too, how helpful it can be. I think all those players have been outstanding, and I love that part about it. And the next one is Ben Hunt on track for Dally M win, even though the Dragons are not as high as what they probably want to be. Just how important, like how great his season's been.
He's such a good player.
Well, I think, you know, that original pressure of when he got to St. George about being a highest paid player and them not having success might have affected him a bit in terms of the way he was playing, like handling that criticism. And I had him on my show a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about like that having an effect, and now he can move past that and play the way he likes to play. Like, he's leading the Dally M's before it went behind closed doors, and he got Channel 9 man of the match on the weekend. I think he's about 4 or 5 points ahead at the moment with, 9, 10 games to go.
Mm.
So big chance to win it if he can get a few more wins. And he always goes good at Origin. You know, and if Queensland win, I feel like he might get man of the match this week. Anyway, don't quote me on that. Micah Sevo. How good to see
He's back.
Sevo back. One of my favourite moments on the weekend was he had one of those barnstorming runs and he fended off not just any slouch, Joseph Manu.
Yeah,
Like,
he did too.
who's a
Left him
great
the turf,
defender.
didn't he? Yeah.
And then after that, the whole crowd was going off, Sevo, Sevo. I love that moment. So good to see some of our superstars back in Sevo. And lastly, but not least, I've been listening to a lot of criticism lately and a lot of, how would you explain it? A lot of flack put on a guy at the Warriors, and it's Sean Johnson. And everyone has this opinion about Sean and an expectation about Sean and the way he plays. And I've spoken about it before. Like, he's been taken to the Warriors to be a game manager / put their side in good field position and just kick the footy, which has never been his strength, right? And I feel like his strength is his running game, and if I was there, I'd move him to 5'8". But there was, on the weekend, I heard calls for him to think about retiring.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, maybe he should think about his legacy and give it away. Well, I say shut up to that, because that's up to Sean. No one can understand how hard it's been off the field for a lot of the Warriors players, and especially Sean not having his wife and kids with him. And I think once he finds peace with that and gets back to his family and he can reassess where he's at, that's up to him whether he wants to retire or not. But I don't think he has to go and say, yeah, I'm done this season. He's not done. If he wants it bad enough, he can come back and do it. And I just feel like some of that criticism that he cops, okay, yeah, we understand he's not playing his best or the best that we've seen from him. But that doesn't mean he needs to think about retiring.
There's a lot of talk the club might force him out at the end of the year, Bench.
Well, that's okay.
Mm.
I'm just saying, like, I just don't think that's fair.
Yep.
You know, and if they are thinking about that, well, maybe find a way to support the guy and help him bring out his best, because they're the ones who signed him there to help bring success back to that club and to help lead the younger guys. Sometimes you have to find a way to help get him out of it. And when he goes home and he's back with his family, that's the first part. I'd love to see him after that and another preseason and back in that side. But yeah, Sean doesn't have to retire if he doesn't want to. That's up to him.
Fair call.
Why do you think they haven't considered putting him at 6?
I don't know if they can let go of the fact that they brought him there to play 7.
Mm.
You know, sometimes you just got to throw a guy back in there. Like, if I was coaching them, straight away I'd say, okay, Sean, You're playing 5'8" this week. I don't want you to do any kicking. Whoever's playing 7 can do most of the kicking. I want you on the back of the shifts. I'm going to put you in positions where you're running the footy, and I just want you to take the line on.
Is the kid who played 6 was Volkman, right?
Volkman.
Is he ready to
Well, he's played
be the
halfback
7
before.
though?
Yeah,
Lead and
they
push
can-
that side around the park.
They've had Harris Tavita there in the past. I know he's not playing next year, but they've had him there in the system to play 7 for a long time. Now he's not playing 7. You know, they've chopped and changed the halves who they've had there. Find someone else to put with Sean. But let's try and bring out the best out of him. And I know I've said this before. I don't know if I said it on here, but I think they should try and get the Walker brothers. Ben and Shane Walker to coach the Warriors. Big call, I know.
He's already ruled.
Why
I
the-
think the
why do
owners
you think
ruled them out
it's-
already.
Yeah, it's okay. He can rule them
Why
out.
do you
but-
think it's a good fit?
Well, if you think about a lot of the strengths that a lot of the Polynesian and Kiwi boys play with is offloads, flair, and they're taking a lot of Australian coaches over there to try and sort that out and make them real consistent. But use their strengths, play to their strengths. Was his offload playing footy? And that's what the Walker brothers do. It'd be worth trying it for a
Well,
year.
they've offered to do it for nothing.
Yeah.
For a year for basically nothing.
I
think.
would have made them do the rest of the season and just see how it went as a
Yeah.
trial. But that's just my opinion.
So have they put a line through them? Reed?
Well, I think the owner came out and said, no, it won't be happening. So, I mean, he's a bit volatile, the owner over there, so he might change his mind. He's a bit loose.
I reckon, but don't you reckon it'd be good to see them playing a different style and just try?
You're right, though, Benji was saying that it suits that.
It suits the way they play.
Warriors, the way they play with that flair. And because that's what
as
the
soon as you
Walkers are all
start
about,
telling,
taking risks.
as soon as you start telling players, look, we need you to run here, don't offload here, make sure you get to this point. The natural flair of the way some of the players play is already taken out of them. And now they're thinking about not doing what they do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I just dribble. Anyway.
Well,
That's just my
speaking of flair, you've got Latrell Mitchell on your show tonight.
How good's this?
An exclusive,
Is it?
I believe
See, I
so.
didn't look at it like that. I'm not a journo.
You are. Can you accept
You are
you,
everything
in a
there,
sense,
yeah.
are now
hang
a
on.
journalist?
What's the definition of a journo? Don't you have to have some sort of qualification?
Not really,
No.
no.
You're
So
in-
name one journalist that's not qualified.
Well, hasn't got a university degree.
Yeah.
There's probably a million.
Well, name one
Probably
that
plenty.
works at the Telegraph.
Has Buzz got? I don't think Buzz has got a university degree. I think he's a bit old school back in the day.
Not qualified.
No, mate, he's the most qualified in the
Okay,
business.
well, I'm not a qualified journo.
You don't have to be.
I
I
don't
might be
think-
a
yeah,
media
really.
personality. I'm not a journo.
You're interviewing someone. That makes you a journalist.
I'm an
right?
interviewer.
You're interviewing
Yeah.
Latrell tonight.
Don't put me with you.
Okay. Anyway,
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it.
You're
Thanks.
interviewing Latrell tonight
Yeah.
and Brett Brown this weekend. Are you
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing? I mean, it's been a long time for everyone to pull back on those jerseys, and we know how much every time we saw you in that Kiwis jersey, just how much it meant.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it. I think it's probably the strongest Kiwi side we've named for a long time. So I'm looking forward to that. Jerome Hughes, Dylan Brown, Joseph Manu potentially at fullback,
It's a good team.
Brandon Smith, hooker.
Oh, good spine.
I like it.
So we've got the Women's Origin on Friday night, the Pacific Tests on Saturday, and then Origin 2 on Sunday. So we're going to have plenty to talk about. Have a good week, and we'll dissect all of it next week on the Monday Scrum.